Hey guys, my name's Sam and welcome to Prep Medic. This week's video, we're going through my emergency airway kit that I keep for my children. So I'm not saying that this is the be-all, end-all kit. This is everything you need for your child. I'm not even saying this is what you should have on hand. A lot of the stuff in here is pretty advanced and takes a lot of training to use appropriately. So again, this isn't a recommendation, just figured it would be interesting to see what I keep for my kids. Now, I built this kit when my son first started eating solids. It's a very scary milestone for a lot of parents. Just because of the choking risk. Now I have a daughter. She is about 2 months old. My son is now almost 4, and I'm worried about, the potential for him to put something in her mouth, or when she starts actually reaching for things, having a choking episode, and then of course solids when we hit that 6-month mark. So without further ado, let's go through this kit one at a time and I'll show you what I have in here. So the case itself is nothing special. I got this from North American Rescue, empty. It's like their intubation roll or something like that. As you can see, it doesn't fit it perfectly, but this kit literally sits in our kitchen in one of our junk drawers, just readily accessible. I don't carry this with me when we go anywhere. But as we open it up, you can see I've got some stuff. All right, so right here we've got ET tubes, and we'll talk a little bit more about these as we go through the kit as well. This isn't as much for intubation as for a couple components in it, and then one very specific scenario that can come up with children. So first and foremost, I've got ET tubes sized for my kids. So right here, I've got a 4.0 and a 3.0. I should get a 3.5 for my daughter right now. That's about her size as a cuffed endotracheal tube. This is uncuffed, and that is her size at 4.0. Again, these are like leftover supplies, so I could probably get this one as a cuffed as well, because that's really where the science is going. And then I have a 5.0 cuffed ET tube for my son if he requires intubation there. Now, these serve a number of different purposes. First and foremost, intubation. If you have to, you can breathe for him. It's a very rare circumstance that this would ever have to happen for one of my kids at home, but even so, have that capability. What I like these for is for the potential of an obstruction below the vocal cord. So with these, you can go into their throat. If you can't clear the obstructions with McGill forceps, which we'll talk about later, you can go and you can kind of advance that a little bit farther and try to push the obstruction down into the right main stem bronchus so they can at least ventilate through one lung. The other thing you can do with this, in this 3.0 tube specifically, is you can take the top of this tube off, you can combine it with this ARS needle and turn it into a needle crike that goes on a bag valve mask. I'm gonna cover that shortly. So a couple different uses. I do have a stylet here if we have to form it. This is an adult stylet, probably should get a pediatric bougie in there just because that's what I use in the real world to intubate children if we have to do it. So right here we've got the laryngoscope and 2 blades appropriately sized for the kids. So this right here is a 1 miller, and then I have a 0 miller here, which will fit my daughter at this time. So this can be used to intubate with those tubes right there, or we can use this to clear obstructions. So one of the first things we'll do on an ambulance, if we get there and there's a choking kid, the Heimlich has been unsuccessful when we're doing, the back blows, the chest thrusts for our babies. Right there, if that's been unsuccessful, we're going to go to direct visualization. So with this, we can open the airway, and then we can come in with the McGill forceps and grab the obstruction and remove that from the airway manually. It's very effective in a lot of different cases. So I like having both of these on hand, ready to use. And that's really kind of the primary part of this kit, is the McGill forceps and these. Everything else is pretty rare that it would happen in our household while I have easy reach of these, but if they are choking, I can intervene quickly. And then there's really no downside from having just a little bit more in the kit. So my son is allergic to peanuts, so we like to have a EpiPen at all times around us. This one right here is the 0.15 milligrams for him. We give this first dose. We have other ones stashed around the house, so if we have to go to a second dose, we can go get one. I also have draw up Epi down here. I could really easy throw on or draw up and give to him if we had to repeat that. But like to have just one EpiPen ready to go. I do have a series on EpiPen administration. You can go check that out if you want. Now, next in here, we talked about the ARS needle. This is not for chest decompressions. There's like almost no chance of one of my children getting a tension pneumo sitting at the dinner table. What I have this for is a needle crike. Both my children are too small to perform a surgical crike on, which is where you'd cut the cricothyroid membrane, throw a tube in and breathe for them. In this case, we use a needle as the tube. This one is a 14 gauge. And it's a pretty large bore needle. We can go into that cricothyroid membrane. We can disconnect that hub. And then like I said before, I can take the 3.0 tube and I can pull the cap off of that. That fits nicely into an IV catheter. And then I can combine that with my pocket BVM right here, connect it right up to the BVM, and it makes it a little bit easier to breathe for them. Now, this is a last-ditch airway effort. If I'm unable to clear that airway with McGill forceps, if it's not an obstruction I can push down or I'm not confident in that, I can go to this. It's going to keep them alive a little bit longer, but it really helps for perfusion, not so much ventilation. So they're gonna get really, really hypercarbic. This is something that this kid needs immediate emergency intervention by an anesthesiologist if we have one of these in place. And last but not least, in this kit, we've got some NPAs here. I think the 16 French I have in here is still gonna be just a little bit too big for my daughter, but I think I could cut it down and get it in if I had to. And then we have the 5.0 for my son and some lubrication right here. Like I said, you probably don't need most of the stuff in this kit. If you're looking to build one yourself, obviously if your child has an allergy to anything and you have EpiPens prescribed, make sure you have them on you. This is probably the most important thing in this kit. If you're looking for like things to help with choking, get trained in your BLS measures because those are going to be your first line and the most effective intervention you can perform. So that's going to be, you know, for your babies, your back blows followed by chest thrusts. For, you know, children going up to adolescence, you can do a Heimlich there to help dislodge that obstruction. Now, if you're looking to get more into the advanced stuff, the more kind of effective intervention here is going to be your laryngoscope and your McGill forceps. The endotracheal tubes, the stuff for the needle crike, that's really kind of far out there and something that you're not likely to use ever. So they're not going to be the priority for building a kit like this. I'm going to try to leave this bag at a link down below if you're looking to pick one up. None of this is affiliated. I didn't get any of these sent to me. Just pick them up in random places. So if you have any questions, comments, you think I should add something, take something away, leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you next week.